The snow fell like ash, slow, weightless, and strangely silent. Through the windshield of the rusted Tacoma, the world blurred white. The headlights cut a narrow tunnel through the dark woods, revealing glimpses of ancient pines leaning in too close, as if eavesdropping. Cole Jensen hadn't seen another car in almost an hour. Not surprising. This part of Utah was basically unmarked territory. No gas stations, no lights, no fences. Just forest and time, and something in the trees that felt like it was waiting. The GPS flickered and died 10 minutes ago. Now the truck's dash glowed dim orange, and the FM radio buzzed with static. In the passenger seat, his little sister Abby curled into her hoodie, earbuds in, asleep or pretending to be. Cole kept driving. They were here because their uncle had vanished. Just gone. Vanished into the white like a thread pulled from a sweater. Last contact was 2 weeks ago. A voicemail that cut off in the middle of a sentence. You ever feel like something's outside the cabin at night? Watching? Not a coyote, not a bear. It... Click. Sheriff chalked it up to exposure. They called off the search after 5 days. Retired man, off the grid. Happens all the time. But it didn't feel right. Not to Cole. Uncle Mason was ex-military, rugged and paranoid. The kind of man who booby-trapped deer feeders and slept with a shotgun across his chest. He didn't go missing. He survived things. Still, when Cole's mom asked him to drive out there, just to check, just to make sure, he said yes. And Abby had begged to come, said she needed a break from reality. Lately, she'd been quiet, dreamy-eyed, started drawing these weird wolf sketches in the corners of her notebooks. Cole didn't ask. He figured the trip might ground her again. He reached the final turnoff, an unmarked dirt road veiled by evergreens. The truck groaned over frost-heaved ground as snow piled thicker. There's no signal, Abby murmured, suddenly awake. She looked at her phone and frowned. Like, none. Not even SOS. Cole glanced at her. It'll come back. Cabin's just ahead. But he didn't believe it. Something felt off. The trees had changed. Denser. Leaning inward. Unnaturally. The air had that static electric taste of ozone before a lightning strike. And the silence. That was the worst part. Not just quiet. Hollow. As if sound had been vacuumed out of the world. No birds. No wind. No nothing. The kind of silence that presses against your eardrums until your own breath sounds intrusive. They reached the clearing. The cabin sat hunched under snowdrifts, its roof bowed like a tired animal. A crude fence surrounded the property, just weathered posts and barbed wire sagging in places. No footprints, no tire tracks, no sign of life. Cole killed the engine. The headlights stayed on for a second before winking out, like they were afraid. Let's go, he said, forcing confidence. They stepped out. The snow crunched too loud beneath their boots. The key was hidden behind a loose stone near the porch. Cole found it by memory, hands numb. He slid it into the lock, turned, and paused. The door was already unlocked. He looked at Abby, but she hadn't noticed. She was staring at the trees, eyes distant. Something's watching, she said quietly. Cole's stomach turned. What? I didn't say anything, she mumbled, shaking her head like coming out of a trance. Sorry, never mind. They stepped inside. The cabin smelled like old pine, dust, and mildew. Everything was exactly as Mason left it. Boots by the door, coats on hooks, a coffee mug half full and cold on the counter, and on the wooden table, a single Polaroid. Cole picked it up. It showed the backwoods behind the cabin, out by the tree line. In the photo, something large and grey stood upright in the trees, blurry, obscured by motion, but tall, maybe 7 feet. A snout, bent legs, eyes like cold lanterns. Behind it, the outline of a torn chain-link kennel. Cole turned the photo over, scrawled on the back in thick pen. It wasn't wolves. That night, after lighting a fire and making instant soup, they found the kennels. 3 in total, Behind the cabin, twisted metal frames and half-frozen bloodstains in the snow. Uncle Mason had kept dogs, big ones, military breed shepherds, all trained for protection. Cole remembered them, Duke, Scout, and Reaper. But now, only fragments of chain remained. Deep claw marks gouged the wooden posts. Something had ripped through. "Coyotes?" Abby asked, her voice paper-thin. Cole shook his head slowly. "Coyotes don't leave claw marks 5 feet off the ground." That night, while Abby slept curled on the sofa, Cole stayed up, watching the fire die down, ears pricked for movement. Outside, the snow kept falling, and in the far distance, somewhere deep in the forest, he heard it. Not a howl, not a coyote yip, but a low, throaty growl that rumbled like a diesel engine, dragging out into a scream too deep for any human throat. It stopped his breath. He stood, walked slowly to the window. Just trees, just snow. But near the edge of the woods, between 2 pines, something tall moved. Something on 2 legs, broad-shouldered and patient. It didn't approach. It just watched. Then, in the dark, something barked once, short, sharp, and panicked. A dog. Then silence. But they hadn't brought a dog, and Uncle Mason didn't have any left. Day 2. The morning was a lie. The sun rose cold and colorless, spilling through the cabin's warped blinds like diluted milk. Cole blinked awake on the recliner, his back aching. The fire had burned out sometime during the night. Abby was already up, crouched in front of the fireplace. She'd drawn a symbol in the ashes with her fingertip, a circular shape with jagged lines, like a sun drawn by someone who'd never seen one. "Morning," she said absently, still tracing. Cole frowned. "What is that?" She shrugged. "Just something I saw in a dream." Before he could ask more, there was a thud on the porch. Heavy, like something fell. Cole rushed to the door and opened it. Nothing, just snow, wind, silence. But then he looked down. In the snow, just off the porch steps, were tracks, not human, not exactly animal either, the size of bear paws, but elongated, spread wide, and, most disturbing, deep. Deeper than anything that light should have made. He followed the prints with his eyes. They circled the house. They came close to the windows, then wandered toward the woods, and vanished. No lead in, no lead out, like the creature had just appeared, then disappeared. "Mountain lion," he muttered, though even as he said it, he didn't believe it. Later that day, they explored more of the property. The generator was frozen solid. Mason's ham radio was dead. The landline had a dial tone, but no outgoing calls would connect. "We're snowed in," Abby said. Her voice was too calm. Not fake, just detached, like she was watching it all from underwater. "We'll hike out in the morning if we have to," Cole muttered, not meaning it. Inside, the cabin groaned more than usual. Every gust of wind made it creak like a tired ship. Shadows moved too easily along the walls. Cole tried to keep busy, chopping wood, inspecting the tool shed, boarding up the busted kennel, but he couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. He caught glimpses out of the corners of his eyes, movement that disappeared when he turned his head. Sometimes he thought he saw something tall, standing just behind the trees. Abby, meanwhile, began drawing again. Always wolves, always with human eyes. That night, Cole had the first dream. The dream. He's standing in the woods, barefoot and cold. The trees are dead, just black trunks and twisted limbs. There's a low sound behind him, breathing. He turns. Something is standing upright in the darkness. Its outline ripples, half shadow, half flesh. Its head is wrong, elongated. The mouth splits too wide. The teeth are too many. The eyes are glowing, white like hollow moons. It doesn't speak, but Cole hears it in his head. The dogs knew first. Then it rushes forward. He woke with a jolt, heart slamming. Abby was sitting cross-legged on the floor in the dark. "Did you hear it?" she whispered. "What?" She turned toward him slowly. It was at the window again. Day 3. Things began to unravel. The Polaroid was missing. They searched the whole cabin, top to bottom. Nothing. Cole found claw marks on the window frame near the kitchen. Not scratches, gouges, deep enough to splinter the wood. The tracks in the snow appeared again that morning, this time leading to the shed. Cole opened the shed door with the shotgun raised. Inside, it was dark and cramped, full of tools, tarps, and Mason's old gear. In the corner, the shredded remains of a flannel shirt, blood-stained, and under that, a bone. Long, cracked down the center like it had been chewed. Too long to be from any animal, too thick to be from a deer. He stepped back, sick crawling into his throat. Cole? He turned. Abby stood in the doorway, pale. Behind her, standing in the tree line, was a man. At least, that's what Cole thought. But then the figure stepped into the light. His coat was matted with snow, beard like steel wool, rifle slung over his shoulder, dead eyes. "Name's Granger," the man said. "I live further up the ridge. Figured I'd check on this place. Saw your truck." Cole introduced himself stiffly. Didn't mention the bone. Something about Granger set his skin crawling. "You knew my uncle?" Cole asked. Granger nodded once. "Heard him shooting at things he shouldn't. Told him not to come out here alone." He glanced around, then squinted toward the trees. "You seen it yet?" he asked, almost casually. Cole tensed. "Seen what?" Night 4. Cole hadn't slept in over 30 hours. The shotgun lay across his lap, a single shell left. Abby sat curled up by the fire, her face pallid and expression hollow. She hadn't spoken since the voice at the door. Snow piled against the windows like white hands trying to force their way inside. And then, something changed. It started with the silence. Total, unnatural silence. No wind, no creaking wood. Not even their own breathing seemed to echo. Then, scraping, from inside the walls. A low drag, like claws across drywall. Something was moving within the cabin. Cole leapt to his feet. "Basement," Abby whispered, pointing with trembling fingers. "It's in the basement." He turned toward the basement door, pulse pounding. Then, a sound. Not an animal sound. Not a growl. Not a snarl. It was whimpering, like a dog, like Mason's dogs. Cole felt his stomach twist. He moved slowly toward the door, heart thundering. Each creaking step downward was like descending into another world. The air grew colder, wet, wrong. A light flickered in the far corner. There, standing beneath a single swaying bulb, was Mason, or something that used to be Mason. The revelation. He stood barefoot, covered in blood, shirtless and pale. His body was gaunt, ribs showing, flesh pulled too tight over bones. His face was stretched, as if screaming had warped the skin permanently. His eyes, once blue, were milk white. And behind him, it, the creature, 7 feet tall, lean and twisted like it had been put together wrong. Its arms hung too low. Its face was almost lupine, elongated, snout-like, but not a wolf. Something worse. Something older. Its fur was patchy. Its mouth was open in a permanent smile of bone, eyes glowing white. But the worst part, it was wearing Mason's face, stretched like a mask, the eye sockets hollow, the mouth lolling uselessly. "Mason," Cole whispered, stepping back in horror. The creature tilted its head and spoke, in Mason's voice, perfectly mimicked. "Hey, buddy, missed you." The voice was empty, hollow. The real Mason was dead. He had been consumed. The thing wearing him stepped forward, claws clicking on the stone floor. "Do you remember what you did?" it asked. Cole shook his head. "What do you want from me?" The creature grinned wider. Its jaw cracked with the effort. "Truth," it whispered. "I feed on what people hide from themselves. You smell like guilt." It moved toward him, slowly, almost lovingly. "You heard them barking. That night. You knew something was wrong, but you stayed in the house. You let them die." Cole shook his head violently. "No, I didn't know." But the truth split him open. He had heard the barking. He remembered it now. The night Mason died, the dogs had cried for help, howled, scratched, for a full hour, and Cole had pulled a pillow over his head. Too tired, too scared, too selfish. The guilt hit him like a truck. Tears filled his eyes. "That's it," the creature said, smiling wider. "You're remembering now, and now you're mine." It lunged. Cole fired the shotgun. Boom! The shell slammed into the creature's chest. It staggered, but didn't fall. Instead, it laughed, a deep, wheezing sound that didn't belong in any living throat. Cole turned and ran. The chase up the stairs, into the hallway. Abby was gone. The lights flickered. The shadows moved against the light. The cabin bent around him. The walls stretched. The floor slanted like a funhouse. He stumbled into the bedroom and froze. The walls were covered in Abby's drawings. Hundreds, all of the creature. But one caught his eye. It showed Cole, wearing the creature's face. He backed away slowly, turned, and Abby stood there. But her eyes were wrong. Her skin, loose, like something had been wearing her too. "I dreamed it again," she said. "Only this time, I was it." She reached toward him. "I think it's inside me now." "No," Cole whispered, shaking. Then she screamed, not in fear, in pain. Her body twitched, her spine snapped, her arms jerked backward in unnatural angles. Her mouth opened wider than it should, her jaw dislocated. From her throat came two voices, hers and its. Cole turned and ran. The cabin walls moved, doors shifted behind him, hallways warped. He found himself in the kennel. The smell of blood and fur hit him instantly. And there, scattered across the floor, were the collars. 6 of them, each one stained dark red. And beneath them, a mirror, one he didn't recognize. It leaned against the wall, old and cracked. In the reflection, he saw the cabin, but not himself. Instead, the creature stared back, and then it stepped through the glass. The fight Cole ran, outside, into the storm. The snow was blinding. Icy wind burned his face. The trees shifted around him like claws, but the creature followed, on all fours now, bounding across the snow like it belonged there. It laughed with Abby's voice. "Why did you come here, Cole? You wanted answers? You wanted the truth?" He tripped, fell, crawled backward. The thing loomed over him. "Your uncle didn't die from a wolf. He tried to feed it, bargained, trapped it here. But someone had to pay. The dogs, then him." It knelt down, face inches from his. "And now you." Its mouth opened. Rows of teeth unfolded. Cole reached into his jacket and pulled out the photo, the Polaroid, the one he thought was missing. The dogs, Mason, Cole, Abby. A moment before everything went wrong. The creature froze. Its expression changed. For the first time it looked confused. Cole held it up like a shield. "You don't get to take everything," he growled. "You don't get to rewrite this." The photo burned in his hand. The flame was unnatural, blue and cold. The creature screamed. It began to come apart, face splitting, body shuddering. The snow around them swirled into a cyclone. Cole felt himself lifted, spun, ripped away from the ground. And then, nothing. Aftermath. He woke up face down in the snow. The storm was gone. The cabin was gone. Abby was nowhere. But in his hand, the photo remained, charred at the edges, but whole. The dogs were still in it. So was Mason. But Abby's face was missing. Just a white blur. And behind them, in the trees, was a figure, faint, watching, still there. Morning light. The cold bit deeper now, not just physical. Something inside Cole had frozen. He stood at the edge of what used to be the cabin. Charred beams poked out of the earth like skeletal fingers. No fire had burned, not really. But the structure was gone. reduced to blackened ash and cinders that steamed gently in the weak sunlight. No one would believe it had ever been a home. Abby was gone. So were the dogs. Mason, the creature, all gone, except the memory. Cole clutched the photograph, still warm, half-burned, edges curling, Abby's face, erased, smudged like someone dragged a finger through the image. Behind the group, the figure in the trees had become clearer now. It wasn't an animal. It wasn't a man. It was waiting. Aftermath. Cole made it to the highway by noon. A snowplow found him walking barefoot, numb and silent. When the driver asked if he was hurt, Cole didn't respond, just stared at the trees behind them as though something might step out at any second. In the hospital, he told them he'd gotten lost hiking, suffered hallucinations, exposure. They nodded. Doctors always have names for things they can't understand. But when they tried to take the photo from him, he screamed so loudly they sedated him. He woke up 2 days later in a small white room. The photograph sat untouched on the nightstand, but the figure in the image, it had moved. Closer now, not in the trees, but in the foreground. Returned to normal. Cole tried to go back to normal life. He rented a basement apartment in Ogden, kept to himself, got a job cleaning fish tanks at local offices. People forgot his name quickly, but the dogs never barked near him. They whimpered and hid. He threw the photograph away, burned it again, but it always came back, folded neatly under his pillow. Sometimes the figure in the photo smiled, a visitor. One night, a knock, 3 soft taps. He froze. Midnight, no one visited. The knock came again. He opened the door. An old man stood there, thin, eyes like cracked glass. "You were up there," he said. Cole stared. "I used to be," the man continued. "My brother was the last one to live in that cabin before your uncle." "What do you want?" Cole whispered. The man sighed. "I came to warn you. Once you've seen it, it doesn't forget you." Cole swallowed hard. "You mean the creature?" The man shook his head. "Number not a creature. Not in the way you're thinking. It's not from here. It's older. Before wolves. Before men. It feeds on truth. Hidden things. Shame. Regret. Secrets you bury so deep you forget they were ever real." Cole's mouth went dry. The old man continued. "It chooses someone every generation. It lives through them. Wears them. Makes them do things they'd never admit." Cole felt the photo press like a weight in his pocket. "How do I stop it?" "You don't." Silence. Then, "But you can pass it on." The old man looked up, smile like a slit in his face. "Or you can carry it, until it eats you from the inside." Descent. That night, Cole dreamed of the cabin again. Only this time it was whole. Warm light in the windows, the dogs alive, barking joyfully, Mason grilling on the porch, Abby laughing, sketchbook in her lap. A perfect moment. Then it fractured. The dogs stopped barking. Mason turned, his face missing. Abby rose from the chair, arms too long, spine cracking backward, and behind them, stepping into the firelight, came the figure. Its mouth opened, and Cole woke screaming. His own reflection. He covered all his mirrors. The final night. It ended with another knock. 3 taps. He didn't answer. He sat with the shotgun across his lap, eyes fixed on the door. Whispers drifted through the keyhole. Voices he knew. "Cole, open up. Please, it's cold. Mason's cooking again. Abby drew something for you." His hands trembled. He pressed the photo to his chest. The figure in it now filled half the frame. Its smile had grown. Its eyes were black pits that bled ink. He stood, walked to the mirror, removed the sheet, and stared. His reflection blinked and stepped forward, leaving Cole staring at an empty room, mouth wide, eyes hollow, a shell. Epilogue. The apartment was empty when police arrived, just a folded photo on the nightstand, and 6 new reports filed the next week. 6 dogs missing, 3 sightings of a tall creature in the woods nearby. One woman institutionalized after claiming her husband came back wearing a different face. And one hiker, miles away, found a mirror half buried in snow. He took it home, hung it on the wall, and for days after, his wife swore she could hear barking behind the glass. Final line. Cole finally escaped the cabin, breath burning in the cold air, only to see the same shadow standing across the street, staring up at his window, waiting.